Today we explore 10 blue common cards that are under $1 that are actually pretty decent. Now, these are not replacements for better cards, obviously, but they're actually pretty good budget options for things. First, we have Abjure. It's a 1 blue mana counterspell. You pay 1 blue, sacrifice a blue permanent, and then counter target spell. That's really good, actually. Come on. Counterspell, which is just blue, or this, which is blue and sack blue permanent, which can maybe be steep, but there it is. There's a really cool counterspell, like as an addition to your other counterspells. Betrayal, I actually bought a few of these myself. You can only enchant a creature an opponent controls with it, but whenever an enchanted creature becomes tapped, you draw a card, which means when somebody taps their Llanowar Elves or any other mana dork, you just draw a card. It's a downside for the person using their mana dork. So either they don't use it or they let you draw a card. That's kind of a neat option, I think. And everybody uses mana dorks, so you'll always be able to use this. And it's actually some pretty good card draw. This was interesting. Borrowing 100,000 arrows. You might recognize this from the Commander 2013 precons, but you draw a card for each tapped creature target opponent controls. And so, going back to, the mana dorks and a deck that likes tapped creatures, stuff like that. You're going to be able to draw a lot of cards with this. I know I've drawn a bunch of cards with this before. Plus, it's really cool, and it's one of the only cards with a big old number in its name, so that's pretty neat as well. For all you mill decks out there, Chronic Flooding is an enchant land aura, so whenever enchant land becomes tapped, its controller mills 3. That's pretty great. Either they don't use that land or they're gonna mill 3. There's no bad thing for this. They're gonna use their mana anyway, so might as well punish them for using it. The next one has some really cool art. Convincing Mirage. Hats off to Ryan Pancoast for this one. Jeepers, it's another enchant land. When it enters, you choose a basic land type, and then enchanted land is just the chosen type. Come on, you take that Urborg, boom, it's just a regular swamp, or boom, it's just a forest, right? It just wipes out some really good utility lands, and I really like this one. Deranged Assistant, I have this one in my Sidisi deck. It's a human wizard. It's a mana dork, so you tap it and mill a card, and then add a colorless. So it's just a colorless, but in the decks that really want you to mill cards, this is a great creature. You get a mana, and you also mill a card, so it's double value on this guy. Diminish. Okay, this is a really cool instant. Just gives a creature base power toughness 1/1 until end of turn. So turn that big old Galta that just came out into a 1/1, and then you can just kill it. It's very easily. I don't know. This is just a fun card, and it's just a real tricksy type thing that I think needs to be played more often. Energy Tap. This one's really neat. So you tap a creature you control and then add an amount of colorless equal to its mana value to your mana pool. So again, pulling back that Galta. If you've got Galta out, you pay 1 blue and then you net like 12 colorless. That's insane. That's some really cool stuff. I think it's, best probably used in a green-blue deck, but you could also use it with like Leviathan type stuff, and that can be really cool. So yeah, this is like one of those really neat blue kind of ramp ritual type things. So I wouldn't pass this one up. Flood of Recollection, blue, sorcery, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand, and then you exile it. So get your best instant or sorcery out of your graveyard, and just for 2 blue mana. That's usually not something you can do very easily, especially with a common card. I think it goes really far in spell slinging decks, and I don't think it can be overlooked. Okay, last but not least, Tortoise Formation. 3 and a blue for an instant. Creatures you control gain Shroud until end of turn. Now, this can't replace a Lazotep Plating or anything like that. This is more of an addition to that kind of thing, just in case something like that gets countered, and then you've got a backup. It's more expensive, but then all your things gain Shroud. They just can't be targeted. I just think it's cool. Plus, I think the art is awesome. Mark Zug did great. Just building turtle shell shields, pretty dope. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope these kind of give you some more ideas for your next deck. And let's not overlook those commons. We all love commons, and maybe one of these can find a spot in your next Pauper deck. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you next week for your weekly dose of magic.